Hello, so this is going to be a video talking about the US PASCA type stuff, as in Personal Armour System for Ground Troops, I believe it stands for. Now, this is the kind of cool US armour system they upgraded to in the 80s, and the idea was to give soldiers much better survivability on the field. Now, a lot of people kind of don't know what the PASCA stuff is for, so in the video I will explain that. Now, PASCA's outdated now, but when it came out it was a massive step forwards from what any nation was really using at the time. So, thanks to Beastoree for sending this me. I have never seen PASCA stuff for sale in the UK. I don't know if he has any other stuff available like this, but again, eBay link will be in the description to his channel, or not his channel, sorry, his eBay page, because obviously he was the one who sent me this, so I really appreciate it. Also, in a bit I will show you where manuals are hidden in these jackets, because Shop Zombie told me that. And it's, yeah, there was one in this one as well, because apparently people never realise they're there. So, the PASCA system was basically designed to replace the old flak jackets and steel pot helmets. So, most of the PASCA system was the helmets and the vests. Now, just to let you know, this helmet isn't a PASCA helmet. It's the British Armed Police equivalent of a PASCA helmet, because the PASCA was so popular it inspired lots of like licensed copies and clones. But this is similar enough to a PASCA helmet to explain in the video. So the idea was that the Americans knew that, during the Cold War and most of, modern wars, as in World War I, World War II, and the proxy wars being fought in the Cold War, most soldiers were died or were injured by shrapnel and explosives, not actually gunfire. Because most of us, for some reason, seem to think that if you're going to get killed in a war, it's probably going to be somebody shooting you. Now, that will probably do you in, yes, but in terms of the majority of casualties, it's shrapnel and explosives. Because artillery has always been a massive thing in modern wars, and as the artillery systems, get scarier and scarier, the probability that you're going to be killed by shrapnel goes up. So if you think from the humble little hand grenade somebody might throw, that will release shrapnel and kick up rocks and everything and debris flying at high speeds, and obviously big artillery shells exploding, shrapnel and debris flying everywhere. So they knew for a long time that most of the casualties actually came from shells and explosives, which is why in World War I, steel helmets started being issued. Now that was the only bit of armour you got really in World War I, other than the trench armour certain people might have been lucky enough to have. But in general, a steel helmet was all you got, and that massively cut down on the deaths, because, somebody will get concussion instead of having their head split open by a piece of shrapnel hitting it. So, that was good for a long time. Then what you started seeing happening in World War II is certain nations thinking about maybe giving things called flak jackets to air crews, flak being the German word for anti-air, or shrapnel basically. So, you start seeing more armour come about. Now, in Vietnam there was something quite famous. This is not an American Vietnam vest, but it's very similar to it. This is the British Army Northern Ireland vest, which is basically just an improved copy of the US vest from Vietnam. Now, the PASCA is kind of the evolution of this. The difference is, these vests were ballistic nylon. That was what was in the filler. So, ballistic nylon is basically, a type of aramid type thing where you get a material and make a gambeson type thing by putting lots of layers of it together where it's very strong. The problem with ballistic nylon is, compared to Kevlar, is that ballistic nylon, to get the same level of protection it has to be thicker and therefore way more. Kevlar you can have thinner and it will give you the same level of protection. So that's what the PASCA system did. It was to kind of do the flak jackets and the body armour again, but this time put Kevlar in it. Now, completely bear in mind, the idea of the PASCA upgrade was not to, make your infantry safe from bullets, because although Kevlar is better at stopping bullets than ballistic nylon, it doesn't stop all bullets. So a PASCA vest, if you're lucky, might stop a pistol round. The PASCA helmet, if you're lucky, might stop a pistol round. So they went from having steel pot helmets, like the M1 helmet, to basically having these helmets that had Kevlar filler in, which again means for a similar weight to the steel helmet you get a much better level of protection. You get something lighter and less cumbersome than the old flak jackets, which gives you a better level of protection. So, that's why the PASCA system was so good in a sense, because it, gave the wearers much better survivability and protection at much lower weight. So, the coolest thing I find about the whole PASCA thing is I find the late 1980s US soldier probably had the coolest looking uniform ever. They had all this, US woodland camo stuff on, camo covers with the M16s and all that. It looked really aesthetic. Sadly, I think everything looks a bit too sci-fi now, but the cool retro look of all this stuff in the late 80s looked very cool. So, there is a manual as well with these. Here we go. here's one of them, and there's also the other manual where I'll show you where that is. So, use and care of body armour, fragmentation protective vest ground troops. So, there you go. Approximately 75% of all combat casualties are caused by fragments from mines, mortar shells, grenades and artillery fire. 7 out of 10 casualties were not wearing armour vests. So basically the whole point of this, as saying, was to, and this is from 1981 apparently, so it gives you some idea of the thing. So this is just kind of a load of information on the vest, so that shows you how, you know, the vest protects you. So it's saying a load of shrapnel goes off, no armour on your legs, that will go through your legs, but the helmet and the vest should stop, you know, your vital organs and your brain being penetrated by, you know, everything like that. Saying how it might save your life, how to clean it, you know, little cool things like that. It's meant to be a simple manual for simple people, I guess. But yeah, and then there's like the filling form. So yeah, the Pasket stuff is really cool, just simply because, you know, this is when the US came up with, which is, you know, a very modern idea in the 80s, of having proper infantry body armour, which everybody takes for standard now. And again, not designed to stop rifle rounds, not really even designed to stop pistol rounds, although it could do it. The whole point was to give you massively higher protection from shrapnel. Because bear in mind, when this stuff came out, the Americans were thinking they might have to fight the Soviet Union. They were not thinking they would be fighting insurgencies in the Middle East. So a lot of the stuff where people consider these vests not good was because, you know, they were being used in situations in guerrilla warfare where they were never designed for. The whole point of these vests originally was fighting a completely mechanised huge army that would be lobbing lots of explosives at you, you know, doing bombing runs of planes and helicopters. So the whole idea was shrapnel would be flying everywhere. This was to protect you from shrapnel. So it did give the Americans a lot more survivability. Bear in mind, when the Americans came up with the Pasket helmet, that was much, much better than the British Mark VI helmet, so it does give you some idea of, you know, how much more advanced it was than other stuff at the time. Okay, so now to show you where the manual is hidden. So if I get this off, and we have a look here, see where this label is here on the back? Behind the label there is a little pouch, and if we lift this up, I don't want to tear it. There we go, see? There is another one of these manuals hidden there. So thank you for Shot Zombie for telling me all about the hidden Pasket manuals. I probably wouldn't have found that either. So although Beastoree sent me a second manual with this one, there was actually one hidden in there as well. So that's the funny thing, is if you ever have a Pasket thing, if you're in America, have a look, or anywhere else, and see if you've got a manual hidden in there, because it's quite an interesting little thing. So yeah, compared to the old flak jackets, if I hold them up side by side, I'll just do the Pasket back up again. You should hopefully be able to see the massive difference in size between the two, and hopefully I can demonstrate the weight of each one. Yep, the ballistic nylon one is much heavier than the Pasket, and look how much bulkier it is, and it gives you less protection. That's the crazy thing. So basically, this came into service to replace these, meaning that soldiers, you know, were carrying less weight but had a better level of protection. And I said the Pasket helmets are very good as well, but sadly I don't have an authentic Pasket helmet to show you, although Pasket helmets are definitely worth getting, or Pasket style helmets if you can find them. So again, big thanks to Beastoree for sending me all this stuff. There will be a link in the description to his eBay page. As I said, I don't actually know if he's got these Paskets for sale or if it was just one he sent me because he knew I'd be interested in it, but you know, they are pretty cool things, and the whole Pasket system is pretty fascinating because, as I said, it's where you start seeing the advanced sort of implementation of proper modern body armour. Because the old ballistic nylon vests were good for what they were. The issue was they were quite heavy, and you know, ballistic nylon is nowhere near as good as Kevlar. I think it was DuPont that came up with both ballistic nylon and Kevlar, but funnily enough, it was kind of by accident that Kevlar started being used in military applications, I think. So I think originally Kevlar was developed for something else entirely, like brake pads on cars or something like that. And then somebody came up with a good idea of, oh, this stuff's pretty strong, should we try it in body armour? And that's where the idea kind of came from. And again, what we're probably going to see soon is thermoplastics replacing Kevlar, because again, stronger and lighter, and it's probably going to be a continued process like that, where, you know, each bit of armour eventually decades later gets replaced by something, you know, even more protective and lightweight, as, you know, science improves and we come up with new materials. So there you go. Hopefully you found this video interesting, and yeah, the old Pasket stuff is really cool.